Alright guys, welcome to Avatar: The Last Airbender. Yes, I am coming back to do a little bit of a focused recap on the last episode. Someone did say that my initial reaction wasn't that big. I understand, but please understand that, doing these videos is kind of hard when you have, well, a whole lot of stuff to go through. That is the reaction part, and I know that I probably didn't hit very much on the review part, and that's on me, and I'm sorry about that. So on bigger pivotal moments like this one, which this is a pretty pivotal moment for Prince Zuko, he confronts his father, and then we're going to have probably another one where I review the next episode and kind of give you guys a pivotal moment. Unless you guys just want me to do this kind of stuff where I pick like the big pivotal moment for the character of that episode, because I'd be more than happy to do that, because one, it gives you guys what you want, I get to go a little bit deeper, and there's a whole heck of a lot less editing to do when we do a deep dive on a character. Now, I'm not doing Zuko the entire history of, because that's just so much, and I don't have the Legend of Korra, which does add a bit of the history after Avatar: The Last Airbender. I just don't have that series on hand yet. I do have the Blu-ray there, and if you guys want to get a copy of the Blu-ray, it might not be that box, but it is basically the same thing. There is a link down in the description that you can get the complete series, like the one that I have here. It might not be the same box set, but it is all of the DVDs. So this episode, which we just reviewed last time, I will link that up here for you guys. We did a watch and review, which my watch and reviews are basically, I say a little bit of something at the beginning, like this. We talk about different things, why I can and cannot do stuff, what happened previously, or what I know about this episode, and then we do a watch part, which is basically my reaction. We watch clips, and I have some kind of reaction in between, and then we talk a little bit about it at the end, which I know is, for some people, kind of annoying because they just want to sit there and watch the whole thing. You can't do that on YouTube, though. That's illegal, and it goes against copyright. So if you guys want me to break down the next few episodes that we have left in the series, I think we have like 9-10 episodes left, and you want me to do more of a deep dive on the actual episode instead of just the watch and review part, the reaction part, then I will be more than happy to do that, because it's more fun for me to deep dive into the characters than it is just to watch the episode with you guys, because it gives me more thoughts on the characters and what's actually going on. So if you guys want that, let me know down in the comments. I might even put up a little poll later on, so look out for that as well. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit the little subscribe button so you'll be notified when I post things on the community chat and when the next video gets put out. So with that being said, let's jump into this scene, which is what I call the cave scene, where Zuko goes into the throne room. So let's play a little clip, and that's how I'm going to do it. We're going to play a little clip, we're going to break down that clip and talk about it, and then go into the next little bit, because there's a lot to go over with this. So without any further ado, well, let's get to it. Here we go.
I'm ready to face you.
Are you, though? So we know that Zuko has had this almost yin and yang, good versus evil, good guy versus bad guy feeling in himself that he's always been trying to battle. It's the story of the two wolves. There's a good wolf inside of you, there's a bad wolf inside of you. Which one wins in the end and defeats or eats the other one? Well, it's the one that you feed the most. Now, Zuko, up until he got banished, which we can go into. That's a very far in the past thing. He had spoken out during a war room meeting and kind of got pissed off at General, and so he went into what's called an Agni Kai, which is basically a Fire Nation battle to the death. That's where he got the eye thing, and his father said, hey, you're gone until you find the Avatar. And so for the first, almost a little bit more than half, I believe, of the story has been him trying to find the Avatar, but he does have his balance out, which is Uncle Iroh. So you have, on one hand, you want to please his father. On the other hand, he wants to please, he's trying to listen to his uncle as well. Not so much please him, but at least listen to him. But he wants to go back to his father and make his father proud, but then he has his uncle over here who's making a whole lot of sense, but it's a very conflicting issue within him. So it's pretty interesting that he says, I'm ready.
Why are you here?
I'm here to tell the truth.
Here to tell the truth. So he did apparently shock the Fire Lord, and the Fire Lord didn't know why he was there. It wouldn't be a surprise to have him down in the caves while there's an attack going on. I mean, that's basically the bunker for the royal family. So him being there wouldn't really be a huge surprise, but that is his throne room, essentially, so it wouldn't be proper for him to just walk in unannounced, which that's a big story in a lot of stories. It's not custom for you to just barge into where the king is just hanging out in the throne room.
Telling the truth during the middle of an eclipse. This should be interesting.
Okay, so he just made a big power move, telling the truth during a total eclipse. That's basically saying, yeah, you're kind of a chicken because I'm not at full strength right now, and this is the only reason why you're doing this, but I really don't fear you, so I'm going to send my guards away to call your bluff.
It was Azula who took down the Avatar.
Why would she lie to me about that?
Because the Avatar's not dead.
What?
Yeah. Okay, so he admitted that he didn't capture the Avatar, kill the Avatar in the cave, that Azula did, and this was kind of a surprise because he says, what? And he didn't know why Azula would lie, and basically Azula lies, that's kind of her thing, but why would she lie to him about a thing like that? Well, because the Avatar's not dead. So, and he obviously didn't play that in his head, that there is a small possibility, ever so small, that the Avatar wasn't actually dead. So that's a bad move on him, and he is obviously surprised about it.
In fact, he's probably leading this invasion. He could be on his way here right now.
That's a good insight there, that he kind of knew that Aang and the gang were not only coming, but Avatar Aang was running the show, which is actually kind of an interesting insight, because even he didn't know that the Avatar didn't actually die, because he got struck by lightning, Azula and him went away, and there was really nothing to say that Aang was alive, but there was nothing to say that he died either, besides getting struck by lightning, which I would personally say is kind of a coin toss.
Get out! Get out of my sight right now if you know what's good for you.
That's another thing. I'm not taking orders from you anymore.
Okay, so he tells him, get out. Get out of my sight if you know what's good for you. So, one, he's angry, and two, he's kind of afraid. I would think it's a mixture of anger and fear, because the Avatar is a big deal in this world, and even though Aang can't become a fully realized Avatar because he left the chakra unblocking ceremony, he doesn't know that, though. the Fire Lord doesn't know that and is kind of afraid of him, even if he's not fully realized. He could go into the Avatar state and still kick his butt because even though Ozai is a very powerful firebender, he's not Avatar level firebender. And the only reason why Roku died was because his, I think, great grandfather left him, and he was already weakened because of all of the inhalation of the poisonous gas from the volcanoes. So I don't think even Ozai would have been able to beat a fully realized, well, not even a fully realized, but just a avatar in that state of being. So it's pretty interesting, and I think he even knows that because he is afraid.
You will obey me, or this defiant breath will be your last.
Another dog whistle, if you will. Obey me, or this will be your last breath. That is another power move, if you will, because he's trying to insert his dominance over Prince Zuko, which, I mean, as his dad, that is his right, but he's not the best father in the world. He's not going to get that award anytime soon, but look at his family heritage. So, yeah, I can blame him for his own actions, but I can't say I'm surprised.
Think again. I am going to speak my mind, and you are going to listen.
Okay, so Ozai obviously knows that he is at least outmatched right now. The eclipse is happening, so he doesn't have his firebending, which again he had called out his son on coming in there when there was a full eclipse, which means, yeah, you wouldn't have done this unless you knew that I was in a weakened state of being. He has his double swords, which doesn't really matter. I mean, I'm sure that the Fire Lord could do something, but I guess that does give him an advantage. So he sits his butt back down and is going to listen. But this is where it gets really interesting in kind of a story way. So,
I thought it was my honor that I wanted, but really, I was just trying to please you.
this is true.
You, my father, who banished me just for talking out of turn. A 13-year-old boy to an Agni Kai.
Okay, we're coming up with literal and figurative wounds of the past. He's your father. He made you do an Agni Kai, which he actually thought that it was supposed to be an Agni Kai with the guy who he basically talked back to and said, yeah, that strategy kind of sucks. And so he was challenged to an Agni Kai. He didn't know that the Agni Kai was presented by his father. So when he turned around, oh, look, it's daddy. I don't want to fight daddy. So he got the face boo boo and got banished. And so, I mean, it's a should children be punished for the bad things that they do? Yes. Should they be permanently, figuratively, and physically uh, punished and hurt for what they do? No. The whole permanent scarring thing and emotional scarring that goes with it is not the best parental advice that I would give. It is literally, quite literally, child abuse, but I believe, spare the rod, spoil the child, but don't leave a permanent mark when you do. Yeah, so according to his father, he was probably just punishing him, but there's other ways of going about it that aren't so, let's say, permanent.
How can you possibly justify a duel with a child?
It was to teach you respect.
Okay, so there is a balance here. It's a really dumb thing to do because it's not going to teach the child anything more than to deal with his problems physically. It'd be like, oh, you talked back, so I'm going to put you in a boxing ring. That doesn't make sense. It's like, no, you put him in the corner or you give him a spanking. that's how we dealt with it. You guys may deal with your kids in different ways. Put them in timeout. Take away a toy. Make them do the dishes or something. There are other ways of doing it than putting your kid in a boxing ring and then, beating them. In this case, putting him in a platform and doing an Agni Kai. So yeah, just bad parenting. In his defense, which is very thinly laced defense here, I was teaching you respect. There's other ways of teaching respect, and the thing is, like, I believe that uh, respect is earned, not given. So you have to give respect to earn respect, but as an adult and him being technically a child, the child should automatically give his elder respect. But there are other ways of teaching respect than, you know, physically harming your child.
It was cruel and it was wrong.
Then you've learned nothing.
Yeah, it was cruel and it was wrong, and uh, if he thinks that that was supposed to be a lesson, it wasn't a very good teaching because he did learn nothing by it because there was no real message to, oh, I'm just going to put a burn mark on your face and banish you. That's a big time out, dude. That's a little bit more than just a go stand in the corner. So, yeah, bad parenting 101.
I've learned everything, and I've had to learn it on my own.
Okay, so one, he did have to learn on his own. Well, not really on his own. He did have Uncle Iroh, who is more of a actual father figure to him than his actual father, because he not only did he tell him, "Hey, knock this off," but he also let him trip over himself, which is sometimes the best teacher. Is the lessons you learn on your own, because yeah, here's the thing, you guys have probably seen this video before.
It's hot on the bottom. It's hot on the bottom. Okay. It's hot on the bottom!
Don't grab it from the bottom, it's hot. And I get that that might have been where Ozai was coming from in a teaching his kid respect way, but it would have been like the mom, instead of saying, you know, don't take it from the bottom, it's hot, it'd be like her, after the third time, just pouring the hot water on top of her child. That's basically what he did, and that wouldn't have taught him a lesson, it just would have given him third-degree burns. So, yeah, again, bad parenting 101.
Growing up, we were taught that the Fire Nation was the greatest civilization in history. And somehow, the war was our way of sharing our greatness with the rest of the world.
Oh, also, he did mention that, in school we were taught that we were the greatest nation on Earth, blah, blah, blah. We're doing this because we're trying to help everybody else out. Again, that is, to me at least, a World War II callback to where there was propaganda. Of course, they did a lot of propaganda back in Germany, World War II. There's a lot of propaganda now, if you look for it. The whole thing about, like, in World War II context, there was, the Germans are winning the war, they're the best people. There was that thing where, they had, everyone is supposed to be, the youth of the nation, the 6 foot tall, blonde, blue-eyed, Wondakins, if you will. That was supposed to be like the ideal utopian theory that they pushed on the population, which was pretty interesting, but not accomplishable, because every theory like that is good in theory, but not good in action, because people screw it up. So, yeah, it sounds good on paper, but when put into practice, it doesn't work out, because there's one equation that's never accounted for, and that's people. And people always screw that up. So, yeah.
The people of the world are terrified by the Fire Nation. They don't see our greatness. They hate us.
That's true too. The people are terrified of the Fire Nation because, again, World War II reference. This is very, 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 very World War II-ish to me. If you see it as another play out, then you can tell me in the comments. I think in at least relevant recent history, I mean, you could go back and say, oh, the Romans did it, the Greeks did it, and everything else. Yeah, you could apply that same logic to those times in history. They would do what's called a bread and wine state. Everyone got bread, everyone got wine. They had the gladiator things, and everyone was happy because everyone was fed and drunk, and no one complained that there was a dictatorship basically, and the Roman guard would come around and just pull you off the street and whip you, or you'd get thrown in jail for like little stuff. By basically every nation in that time period within 1,000 years or so had conquered another place and was a quote-unquote world power. This is just the same repeat of history, but not in our world.
And we deserve it. We've created an era of fear in the world.
That's true. There is a fear of conquest when it comes to, one nation taking over all other nations. Again, I would really like them to deep dive into Lord Ozai. We kind of did in that one episode about Roku, but not enough to do his. I know it's kind of the sins of the father trickle down to the sins of the son, but I want to know like why Ozai kept up that generational garbage of we need to do this and it's for the greater good of the people, instead of it's no longer helping anybody. It's kind of like he's living in his own little bubble, but he's not seeing what's right in front of him, and the bubble is distorting what he's seeing.
And if we don't want the world to destroy itself, we need to replace it with an era of peace and kindness.
Okay, that's an interesting concept. Again, it's more of a utopian theory. Love, peace, kindness. They are great things, but some people you can't change internally, so that's the issue with the concept of love, peace, kindness, and all that. It's a great idea, but it's very hard because everybody is different, and so that peace, love, and kindness doesn't last a lot.
Your uncle has gotten to you, hasn't he?
Yes, he has.
And this is the turn, the moment that we've all been waiting for, ladies and gentlemen, if you will. Your uncle has gotten to you, hasn't he? Yes, he has. And you can see that he has a little bit of a smirk on his face. That is the moment of truth. Now, we've always had these little bit of Uncle Iroh and Prince Zuko chipping away at the one bitterness. He is, and I believe they either have done or hopefully they will do. There's a show that I like to watch called Cinema Therapy. I've mentioned them before on the channel, maybe even on the Avatar itself. I think they either have or hopefully will do a Prince Zuko deep dive into all of the facets and ways that he has issues, because he has abandonment issues, he has physical abuse, he has mental abuse, he has father issues, definitely. He has sister issues, he has uncle issues, he has self-internal issues. He has self-doubt issues. He has anger issues. He is a facet of a therapist dream that would just love to sit down and analyze every little thing about Zuko, because he has so many complex things going on in his mind and his behavior, that it would take a long time to analyze and break down just every little facet of who he is and how him, unlike his sister, hasn't snapped yet, like in the head. So it's a very interesting turn here that he has chosen finally to go the way of the good.
After I leave here today, I'm gonna free Uncle Iroh from his prison, and I'm gonna beg for his forgiveness. He's the one who's been a real father to me.
This is true. As we've seen in the show, uh, Ozai has not really been anything to either him or his sister, Azula. He's just kind of been there. The idea is that Uncle Iroh has been more of a father figure, and that is true because when he got banished, guess who went along with him? Uncle Iroh. When his mother was banished, who took over as the parental authority in Prince Zuko's life? Uncle Iroh. The father was too busy doing his taking over the world thing, or, at least maintaining the social order, as you will, or as I like to call it, keeping up appearances, if you will. That's a fun British show, by the way, if you guys didn't know. So while the father was keeping up appearances, Uncle Iroh was actually doing the father stuff, the teaching his kid, being his nephew, not to be an a-hole and not to hold a grudge, to kind of let things go, have some fun, relax, have a little bit of tea, and just go with the flow, dude. And so we finally get that out, and I don't really see too much of a change in...
Oh, that's just beautiful. Maybe he can pass down to you the ways of tea and failure.
Oh, burn. Okay. So he doesn't get angry, he laughs. Maybe he can pass down the ways of tea and failure. Well, he says this because, well, one, Uncle Iroh is very known for his tea, and secondly, he did lose at Ba Sing Se. So, yeah, technically he's correct in that, but he's being kind of a jerk about it. So, yeah, that's why he laughed. And I'm like, kind of a fair point, but still a jerk move.
But I've come to an even more important decision. I'm going to join the Avatar, and I'm going to help him defeat you.
Big turn. Like, again, this is a part of that turn that I was talking about. He's finally come to the realization that, and I know that he did this a couple of episodes ago, and he's finally acting on that that realization, because we did have a couple of episodes ago where he was in a meeting, his dad wanted him there, blah blah blah, and it didn't change anything. He didn't feel any certain way about it. It was just I'm here and there's not, this isn't really for me. This isn't my purpose. So he really did have a turn. And now he's deciding to join the Avatar, which is pretty interesting that he comes to that realization. But maybe it's a good thing for us because we want a fire guy on our side. So, because the one thing that Aang doesn't really know yet is fire, and we do need a fire master. So, this might be a good thing for us. So, let's continue.
Since you're a full-blown traitor now and you want me gone, why wait? I'm powerless. You've got your swords. Why don't you just do it now?
Alright, so this is actually something that I found interesting. We all know that Mark Hamill, aka Luke Skywalker, aka Firelord Ozai, is the voice of the Firelord. So it's pretty interesting that he would say something along the lines of "strike me down and I will become more powerful than ever." And I didn't add the more powerful than ever, but hey, why don't you just strike me down and get it over with? I think that someone who is as egomaniacal as Fire Lord Ozai, he has 3 different plans rolling in motion, depending on. He's a very good chess player, so if you guys have ever played chess, they say think 3 moves ahead, but it's kind of 3 moves ahead. But it's look at the board and figure out what all the options are and figure out what moves everyone can make within 3 moves and continuate yourself from there. Thinking 3 moves ahead, yes, but also knowing what's right in front of you, because if you're thinking 3 moves ahead, you're not looking at the move that's right in front of you. So kind of just be aware of your surroundings at all time and whatever moves and counter moves are available. And I think that Firelord Ozai is one of those master chess players where he kind of just sees what can come and he is prepared with what he has to do what needs to be done. So if, let's say, Zuko did decide to go after him with his double swords, he might have a guard that's hidden somewhere, or he himself might be a bit of a master firebender, and he might be able to bend himself while the eclipse is going, because there are some firebenders who are just that strong. He might have a weapon himself underneath his little cloak there, or he might be sitting on a knife or something. There's always, a plan A, B, and C with someone who is kind of a master strategist like the Fire Lord. So always beware.
Because I know my own destiny. Taking you down is the Avatar's destiny.
He knows his own destiny and is not to take you down. Taking you down is the Avatar's destiny. I know back then, even now, kid shows can't really deal with death very much. You can't be like, oh, well, this guy's going to get killed, or that guy's going to get killed. It's kind of a big no-no in TV. Like, they wanted to make this show even more, like, not so much violent, but more real than it was, because there were some limitations on what you could and couldn't show in a technically kid show cartoon that wasn't a part of like the Cartoon Network after 11 stuff, Toonami and all that. Yeah, so it was pretty interesting that they got away with what they did in this, prime time TV slot that is a kid show on Nickelodeon. So thank you, Nickelodeon, for letting them do that, but I do have to not thank you for giving the movie rights to M. Night Shyamalan. But we digress. There is a video that I will probably link up here somewhere for you, and you can watch that review because, yeah, we don't talk about M. Night Shyamalan's Avatar movie.
Coward! You think you're brave enough to face me, but you'll only do it during the eclipse.
He always knows how to push his buttons. He is some kind of egotist, evil, like, psychotic person. He knows how to push the buttons, and I think he even may have trained Azula how to deal with her brother here, because she knows how to push his buttons just as much, and I think she learned from the Fire Master here.
If you have any real courage, you'll stick around until the sun comes out.
Okay, another callback to what I would say is the chicken scene in Back to the Future. What are you, chicken? Yeah, if you had any real guts, you'd stick around until the sun comes out, when I actually have more power and technically am more strong than you. So, yeah, because he just wants to try and teach him another lesson, if you will.
Don't you want to know what happened to your mother?
Again and again, he knows how to push those buttons. Mommy issues galore with Prince Zuko. So it's not fairly known what happened to Zuko's mother. I know there are some books out there that I can get. Maybe my local bookstore will have them, or maybe I can find them on a audiobook site. This video is not sponsored, but hey, Audible, if you want to give me a shout out and maybe sponsor an episode or two, I'd be more than happy to go over those books. But as of right now, we are not sponsored, so hey, if you guys want to help out with the channel, there is a link down in the description below called Ko-Fi that is basically a tip jar for me, and it helps out the channel as well. Anything given is greatly appreciated, so there is that. But as of right now, we're not sponsored by anybody, so yeah. But he always knows how to push Prince Zuko's buttons. I think he taught Azula how to do it too. But he brought in Mommy, so that's one thing you don't do.
What happened that night?
My father, Fire Lord Azulan, had commanded me to do the unthinkable to you.
Okay, so yeah, because of the Agni Kai, the Fire Lord who was before this Fire Lord wanted this Fire Lord to kill Zuko. Okay, so, and his name is Azulan. I think Azula was named after Azulan because she is the eldest child of this Fire Lord Ozai. So it was pretty interesting. She was named after him, I believe. I might be wrong on that, but it sounds like it. If you guys know more, because I know some of you guys are deeper divers into the Avatar world than I am. I haven't read any of the novels or the comic books or any of that stuff yet. I'm still getting into it. But yeah, so the Father Lord, or the Grandfather Lord, wanted Ozai to kill Zuko, which is pretty interesting because I guess the Fire Nation has a if you can't control it, kill it mentality.
And I was going to do it. Your mother found out and swore she would protect you at any cost.
Interesting. Okay, so he was actually going to do it. The mom found out and she basically said, I'll do whatever it takes to keep my son alive. Good on her.
And she proposed a plan in which I would become Fire Lord.
Interesting. Okay, so it's pretty interesting. She would do something, and he would become Fire Lord, and Zuko would be spared. This was actually a few years before this. I would say somewhere between 5 and 10 years before this moment here, and it's pretty interesting because uh, we didn't know any of this until this episode. We always thought the mom was a pretty nice person. She didn't seem vindictive or crazy or, take over the worldy. But she was very protective of Prince Zuko, where Azula takes more after Ozai. So, pretty interesting.
Your mother did vicious, treasonous things that night.
Okay, she did treasonous things that night. So, apparently, she either killed or had killed the other Fire Lord, Azulan. So, it's pretty interesting that someone who you don't think would do something did that thing. Which she knew the consequences and she accepted them, is a pretty interesting turn of phrase. It'd be like killing Hitler in a way. Context is everything, I guess, because there are people in this world who call people Nazis and they're not really Nazis, and people are overusing that turn of phrase because it's easier to call your people that you don't agree with something horrible than it is to actually use your brain and think about why they're actually that horrible or that level of horrible. And if you did, you would think, you're actually not that bad. We just don't agree on that particular thing, and that's okay.
For her treason, she was banished.
So she's alive.
Okay, so she was banished because she, well, basically assassinated the Fire Lord, the old Fire Lord, and apparently Prince Zuko thought that she was dead or just left, and I guess he assumed that she was dead because she never tried to contact him as far as he knows. In at least this far in the series, we don't know if she's actually tried to contact him. It's pretty interesting. So, and now he's crying because she possibly could still be alive. And I mean, that's a very emotional thing that can happen.
Perhaps. Now I realize that banishment is far too merciful.
And here comes the fury of the Fire Lord. He basically is saying, yeah, I shouldn't have banished her, I should have banished you. He's probably going to say I should have killed you both, but we'll see.
Your penalty will be far steeper.
Okay, his punishment will be far steeper. So maybe he will kill him. Nice, we get into a little bit of lightning. So this proves my theory that Firelord Ozai is strong enough to get some kind of fire action at the littlest bit of release of sun. There's a scene in this part where you see that the solar eclipse is moving and there's a little bit of sunlight shining through, so he might be powerful enough to absorb that even under Earth, which would make him really powerful enough, especially enough to call lightning out of thin air and focus it at Prince Zuko. But of course, Prince Zuko has learned how to redirect lightning, but that makes him almost just as powerful. Maybe not as as powerful, but almost as powerful. That he could redirect that with just that little bit of sunlight coming through the moon there. And of course, Zuko takes the opportunity to get the heck out of there because the Fire Lord is actually a pretty heavy bender. Again, I'm not sure if the bending back that Zuko did was because of his ability, like he's a very strong bender, or just because, well, he was able to do the technique. I'm not sure if the redirecting the electricity is something that you have to be super, powerful to do, or if it's just if you know how to do it and you have just enough chi to do it, you can do it. If you guys know more about that, then let me know in the comments. It's pretty interesting that he was able to do that with just that little amount of sun. But again, I'm not saying that Zuko's not a strong bender. I just don't think he's as strong as the Fire Lord.
Uncle!
Then he runs off and tries to find his uncle. Of course, the cage is empty. It looks like he may have burnt his way out. It looks like a gorilla just like ripped the cage open. It doesn't look so much like anything technically melted, but he was doing some exercises, so he is, and he also is a very strong firebender, which is another question that I have for you guys out there in YouTube land. Who do you think is stronger, Firelord Ozai or Uncle Iroh? Personally, I think Uncle Iroh, just because even though he's kind-hearted, I think he still is pretty jacked, and we've seen him working out, so he is jacked, but I think that his chi is jacked as well, and his fire bending abilities is pretty strong, so I think he's actually stronger than Firelord Ozai. He just never wanted power in the same way that Ozai did, so he was live and let live, I guess. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comments.
Where's my uncle?
He's gone.
And that pretty much leaves us with Zuko. There's a little bit at the end where he is following Aang, but that's not really, a big deal. He's following Aang now. He's turned really good. So let's continue talking about this. this is a big turning point for Prince Zuko. I think that he is becoming a good guy. I know we've been chipping away at him the entire series, especially Uncle Iroh trying to get him to focus on not going after the Avatar, but just going after something that he needs, which is inner peace, and learning how to be a good person, which is something that I think we all need to strive for. And it's interesting that Uncle Iroh left when he could, but we kind of knew this because in the other bits of the episode, he told that one guard lady, "Hey, it might be good if called in sick," and left. So this is a big turning point for Prince Zuko. We will see more of him down the line. Again, we only have a handful of episodes left, maybe 2 handfuls. I think we have about 10 episodes left, 9 or 10. It's pretty interesting. So that is the breakdown of that throne room. This is a huge turn for Prince Zuko. If you guys like this breakdown, kind of find the pivotal moment of the episode and do shot for shot, especially now since we have bigger episodes coming up, which we have a few that are very annoying to me, which is not that the episode itself is annoying, but there is the 3 play episodes, which are 2, it's either 2 or 3, I think it's 3 play episodes. They are annoying because they get everything wrong, and it's basically like having to watch the M. Night Shyamalan movie again, but I will break those down and hit them hard. So if you guys want me to do that more so than my other formats where we talk about it a little bit, we watch it with little clips, and then we talk about a little bit more at the end, we can either do either one. Let me know which format, the format being, watch and review or vital scene breakdown. So let me know that in the comment as well. So with that being said, guys, if you haven't already hit the little subscribe button, go ahead and hit the little subscribe button.
Don't worry about it. You're still in good shape. All you got to do is just tap it in. Just tap it in now.
That lets you know the next time that I post videos. It will also put you in the community tab, which will make you be able to see things that I mostly ask questions or tell you what's going on. With that being said, I do want to thank all of my subscribers. I do want to thank you guys for getting this far in the video, and we will see you next time. Peace.